after talking to Dick, I just spent most of the day just reading the pilot manual, and just going over exam questions and the theory of flight, and poundages of fuel and everything that just you basically needed to know as a pilot. There was actually a program on the Discovery Channel over there about pilots, about bush pilots and stuff, and about their training, and it covered the aspects of flying, of training pilots, which was really good. These guys were learning to fly in 172 Cessnas, and also in some type of a, I can't remember the name of the plane. It was basically just a skeleton of a plane, and it looked like a small de Havilland. Basically, it had no doors on it, and these were the guys that would fly in the bush, and they would have vets with them in the plane, and they would dart the animals that they needed to take care of or they needed to move. So it was very interesting, very, very interesting. I used to be glued to that as well. So most of the day was boring. Andy popped in and out a few times. He checked on me a couple of times, asked if it was okay, not too bored. And I said no, everything's cool. And he saw the flight manual and he goes, oh yeah, get into that call. He says, it really is, he says, an amazing thing. He says when you can fly a plane. He said, he says scuba diving's fantastic. He says it's a different world. He goes, two different worlds when you're flying. He says, and when you're diving, he says, basically things that human beings aren't supposed to do. And he says, but it's great when you master them. And Andy, I agreed with him, So I did a workout shortly after, about 2 hours of watching Discovery Channel flying and reading. Reading for me wasn't a great big thing. It didn't hold my interest too long. I'm a person that has to physically do things. So if you show me something or you teach me something physically, I'm watching you do it, 3 or 4 goes and I'll get it. Reading, this ear and out the other. So that's why I like to visually watch things, and watching the flying on the TV was much more beneficial to me and meant a lot more. It's not that I was stupid or anything. I just didn't get a kick out of reading. I didn't really retain information that way. I was always a hands-on. It was more visual and then more hands-on, and I learned quicker and I learned faster. So, but reading was something I had to do. Reading manual was something I had to do, and I cracked on with it. So I think I remember popping up to see Tom. Knocked on Tom's door, opened the door slightly. Tom was snoring. Obviously his medication was on the table. He took his medication at certain times of the day, and his medication made him sleep, due to the pain and the spasms that he constantly had in his back and his legs. And his little cat was curled up. Little ginger cat was curled up on his chest, and they just loved life together. So I was satisfied that Tom was sleeping and okay, that he was breathing. Closed his door quietly, just went back downstairs, had a shower, and just sat and watched a bit more TV. And before I knew it, the phone rang again, and it was about 12:15, and it was Fiona. So it was nice to hear her voice. I was getting to like her. She didn't have. She was born in England. She was born in Andover when her dad was in the military, and but she didn't have, the attitude that a lot of Northern Irish girls had. They had that cheeky, mouthy attitude and stuff, and she didn't. She was very Americanized, and she was very polite, and she didn't cuss and swear, and she didn't smoke, and and I like that. I like that about her. She was very respectful, and I liked talking to her. And even though it had only been a couple of times, I felt like there was definitely a little connection between us. So we chit-chatted away, and I was asking her about Chan Cheech, and I was asking her about Tom and Josie, and I had met Norman. I did like Norman, and I was asking, how Norman was, and what Norman's actual, role up in Chan Cheech was. And Norman just lived there. He lived there with his sister and his brother-in-law Tom, and You know, they were like the Three Musketeers, basically. And Fiona was telling me that Tom and Norman and a few other guys had basically built Chan Cheech. Tom was a great carpenter, a great builder, and Norman was quite handy. So they when the project started with Barry Bowen, they were up there from basically day one, and you know, I was to get to see that a few more months down the line. And when I did go up and spend Christmas with Fiona, and Christmas really wasn't that far away, so we were in August, so there was only a few months to go. So we had a great chat. We were asking each other questions about each other. I had told her that if she wanted to know anything, to ask me, and you know, not to be asking Dave. Even though Dave, and I love Dave, you know, like a dad, Dave didn't know everything about me, so there was very few real questions that he could give Fiona answers to, and I respected Dave for telling her that. And I told Fiona that, you know, to be careful what she asked me, because she might not like the answers, but she asked and I answered, and I was honest, and I was brutally honest and very blunt honest, and that's just how I was. And so I was giving her an insight to me, and if she didn't like it, she could make up her mind, and you know, that, you know, wouldn't have bothered me if we never spoke again, to be, you know, to be perfectly honest. So, but we got along, and we were on the phone for about 2 hours, and before I knew it, then she said that she needed to sign off and go to sleep, and we'll talk again in a couple of days. The next port of call for me and Andy was to go to Bermuda, so that would be Wednesday coming, and I think that this was a Monday, and so a couple of days we'll be gearing up to go to Bermuda. The next day, tomorrow, me and Andy would be picking up more gear, and we would be loading the plane, and we would be finding flight plans. Andy would be showing me how to do this. He would be taking me to the tower, and he would be introducing me to the guys at Tamiami, and he would be teaching me this, and that'll be the next step in the evolution of me learning to fly, and getting my face seen around the airport, and just being introduced to people. And I got on well with everybody. Once you had an accent over there, people were automatically, you were like gravity, you were like a magnet, like Dave. People just, you know, automatically wanted to know you. And Americans were so friendly, until they had a reason not to be. And that was just, I suppose, like anybody else on the planet, really. Be nice until you don't have to be nice no more. But life up in Miami for me was very boring. You know, I couldn't just get up and go out and walk down the beach. I couldn't go out, you know, walk down the Belize Dive Centre Yacht Club dock and dip, you know, jump into, you know, the swimming area that we had down there whenever I wanted to. I couldn't go and sit on the palapa at night time, you know, and listen to the waves and feel the breeze, and, you know, see all the stars, and, you know, watch the moon rise and the sunset, you know, and hear the crashing of the waves on the reef, or the rustle of the, you know, of the wind through the palm trees, the music, you know, Bob Marley playing in one bar, you know, heavy metal in another, you know, romantic shit, you know, country western music in another. The eclectic mix was just, it was incredible. And the smells of the food, and, you know, and just people laughing and, you know, having a good time, the sounds of the thunder, you know, the rain, watching the lightning, you know, smash the sky and light everything up. I just didn't have that freedom. And even though I'd only been up in, you know, Miami, you know, a few days, you know, less than a week or something, you know, I was really, really beginning to miss everything. And you know, I was kind of beginning to feel like, again, stuck between the devil and deep blue sea, because although I needed a break from, you know, San Pedro, I really wanted to be back there. But I knew that if I just gave up, you know, and just went down with my tail between my legs, you know, giving up on flying, giving up on going to, you know, the shooting range, and, you know, and meeting all this diverse people, I would have kicked myself for the rest of my life. So I was determined. Plus I felt I would have let Dave down as well, again, knowing having him had asked Andy, you know, to take me on and give me a job, and I would have let Andy down as well, and Dick, you know, and I just wasn't prepared to do that. So I just told myself, fuck it, Col, you know, just stick it out. You're going to go through all these emotions, but, you know, just stick it out. There's a purpose at the end of everything.